Hello everyone and welcome to a brand new Star Wars review. Today we're going to take a look at some Hasbro products from the animated series Star Wars Rebels, and we're going to kick things off with a vehicle. We're going to take a look at this one in today's review. This is none other than the ATDP, or All-Terrain Defense Pod, and this is a vehicle that I've been really looking forward to. Again, for those of you that have been watching my channel for any amount of time, you'll know I'm a huge Empire fan. I love the Walkers, love the TIE Fighters, and obviously, naturally, this was a must-have. What I really love about this one is the fact that it's based on some artwork by Ralph McQuarrie, and I'll talk about that in a little bit more detail as the review goes on. But as you can see, this is the box that the ATDP comes in, and I absolutely love it. It's a really cool looking vehicle and a really cool looking box as well. As you can see, we've got some stunning artwork on the front there featuring the ATDP's Storming Lothal. And on the back of the box we have a rundown of some of the features that the vehicle has. Now, I know I mentioned in my TIE Advance prototype review that some of Hasbro's vehicles in recent years have really declined in quality. And as much as I hate to admit it, this is actually one of them. In recent years we've seen, really a huge decline in quality in terms of Hasbro's overall product. Some of their action figures haven't been really up to scratch. The vehicles really haven't, but with the introduction of Star Wars Rebels, we've seen some really cool designs and the quality of the vehicles seems to have gone up a little bit. But with this particular vehicle, it's sort of placed somewhere in the middle. I'm a little bit disappointed with the execution, but the overall vehicle itself is very cool. So I'll talk about it in a little bit more detail in just a bit. So there is the box that this one comes in. Now let's take a look at the ATDP Walker itself, and here it is. Once again, this is a really cool looking vehicle. In terms of design, it's absolutely fantastic, but as a toy and in the way it's being executed in plastic form, kind of misses the mark a little bit. I don't really know where I stand with this one, but I'll let you guys be the judge in terms of whether or not you think it's a good one. Now, at the beginning of the review, I did mention that this particular Walker is based on Ralph McQuarrie artwork. Now, for those of you that don't know, and quite frankly, if you don't, I don't know why you're watching this review, because you're a Star Wars fan and you should know everything. But Ralph McQuarrie was the concept artist for the original Star Wars trilogy, and a lot of his sketches and a lot of his concept art has been brought to life in the Star Wars Rebels animated series, and the ATDP is one example of that. Now, the ATDP was actually a concept design for the AT-ST Walker that we see in Return of the Jedi. Obviously, it got left on the production room floor, and Lucasfilm and the crew behind Return of the Jedi decided to go with an alternate look for the all-terrain Scout Walkers. But again, the ATDPs have been brought to life in Star Wars Rebels, and these are the sort of Walker of choice, as it was for the series so far. We do see these in action quite often during the first season of Star Wars Rebels, and I really love these vehicles. They are absolutely fantastic. Now, as I said, the vehicle itself, absolutely fantastic. Really love it. Absolutely dig the design. But the execution as a toy is a little bit weak. As a display piece, it looks fantastic. But as a toy that you want to play with and pose and display and all that sort of thing, it's not great. Previous Walkers over the years have featured tons of articulation, really cool features. This one, not so much. The articulation on this thing, first and foremost, is pretty much non-existent. The only real articulation points we get with this Walker are in the head, which can turn side to side like so, but not all the way because the legs hinder some of the movement. And it's also articulated at the shoulder or thigh, depending on what you want to call that joint there. Other than that, there's absolutely no articulation in this vehicle. With AT-APs and AT-STs and all that sort of stuff, we've seen articulation in the ankles, we've seen articulation at the knees. With this one, it's just static and it doesn't really move all that much, which is a bit of a shame. But for me personally, I can't say that I'm that bothered by it because, again, this thing's just going to sit on my shelf. I can understand the disappointment for a lot of collectors that are probably going to pay, you know, £20 for this thing, or $20 depending where you're from, and going to expect a full range of movement and, you know, really premium features, but sadly that's not what we get with this vehicle. Again, that's not to say that the vehicle itself isn't very cool, because it is. It looks fantastic, got a really nice, striking presence to it, and I am actually a big fan of this vehicle. I just think it could have been made as a toy much better. Now, in terms of the overall features that this vehicle has, you saw the articulation just a moment ago, but in terms of sort of play features and gimmicks, it does of course feature one firing missile at the front, which as you can see is sort of a ball turret, which looks pretty cool if I do say myself. The missile at the front is activated by a button on the bottom there. You just press that and the missile will fire out. You have some really nice sculpted detail on this one. You've got all the grills and vents at the front, as well as all the nuts and bolts at the back. Now, we do have a few stickers to apply to this one. Can't say I really see the point in these being stickers, but as you can see, just underneath the head there, we do have this sort of yellow rectangle. Why does that need to be a sticker? I don't know why they couldn't just paint that on. Who knows? We also have a couple of yellow triangles on either side of the cockpit as well. Again, no idea why these need to be stickers. I can't understand why Hasbro couldn't just paint those on, but alas, they're there nonetheless. Now, the turret cannon, or whatever it is that you want to call it, at the front of the cockpit can indeed be rotated and positioned. As you can see, it does turn from side to side, quite a tight joint, and it does pivot as well. Other than that, there aren't really many other features. Obviously, what would an Imperial Walker be without an opening canopy? We have two forms of opening this one. There is a small canopy at the top, which is probably movie accurate. You know, that's how the drivers would enter and exit the vehicle in the series. And then we have a much larger and much more practical way of opening the vehicle with this large top hatch. Now, as you can see, there is an ATDP driver inside there, and we'll be reviewing him very soon. But as you can see, in the cockpit area, there is indeed room for two pilots. Now, I was a little bit disappointed and a little bit let down by this particular vehicle in terms of the cockpit space, because I was expecting there to be room for two seated drivers, but sadly that's not the case. Get him to reposition there. As you can see, there is indeed room for one ATDP driver to sit at the front, but the trooper at the back has to stand. Now, as you can see, this looks a little bit silly with the large hatch opened, whereas if we take the driver out, close up the hatch and lift up the smaller, more sort of movie accurate, if you will, hatch, then we can proceed to place our ATDP driver in there, and we get a really cool look for the vehicle. So I am a little bit disappointed that there isn't enough room in the cockpit for two drivers to be seated, but this look looks, you know, amazing. It's a really cool appearance for the ATDP, and I really do like it. I'm going to try and zoom in on this one so you can see it in a little bit more detail and just get a better look at how it can be displayed. Just position those legs a little bit for you there. There we go. Really cool looking drivers those, and once again I'll be reviewing that figure very soon for you. But it does look very cool seated inside the cockpit. As you can see, that hatch has some really cool detail on it as well. The sculpted detail on this thing is really nice. I'm a big fan of it. You may think that the legs of the ATDP look hollow, but that's not the case. Obviously they are hollow, but inside Hasbro have gone to the effort of sculpting some wires and some circuits and some nuts and bolts, so it's not all bad. You know, really nice, impressive detail on this one, and overall the look of this vehicle is very cool indeed. So it's definitely a vehicle that I'd recommend picking up. Personally, I don't think it's worth the full £20 or $20 that it retails for, but if you're in the UK currently and you live near a rather large Tesco's which stock toys, then get down there now because they're clearing out all of their Star Wars stock. God, these things are tight. And they're currently selling the Star Wars Rebels vehicles off for just under £5, which is a fantastic deal if you ask me. Really great price for a vehicle such as this. No idea how long that offer is going to last, but if you want to take advantage of it, get down there as soon as you finish watching this video, get to Tesco's, purchase this one again for under £5. It's a really great deal, and for that price, you know, really can't complain. But sadly I did pick this one up at full retail price. Was a little bit disappointed, but you know, again, as a display piece, awesome, really love it. So I'd recommend it on one hand, on the other I wouldn't want to pay too much for it. So it's really a toss-up as to whether or not you want to pick this one up for yourself. But as always, if you want to do so, there's a link down in the video description where you can purchase this one from a variety of locations online. So I'll let you guys be the judge. So I hope you've enjoyed having a look at this ATDP vehicle. Once again, ATDP does stand for All Terrain Defence Pod. An awesome vehicle, and yeah, really, really cool. So, once again, hope you enjoyed this review, and I'll be back with some more very soon. We're going to review this guy next, so stay tuned for that. And as always, guys, until next time, keep collecting, and may the Force be with you.